Sayısız kez beyaz perdede izlediğimiz Tolstoy'un ölümsüz romanı Anne Karenina'yı bu sefer uyarlayan Tom Stoppard, yönetense Joe Wright'tı. Sezonun merakla beklenen filmlerinden biri olan Anne Karenina, Oscar yarışında en iyi müzik, en iyi kostüm, en iyi yapım tasarımı ve en iyi görüntü yönetimi olarak Oscar dallarında aday oldu. Anne Karenina'yı diğer filmlerden ayıran bir diğer özelliği ise stilistik biçimi. Çünkü Rusya'da çekim yapmak için mekanlar oldukça pahalıydı. Bu yüzden bu fikir doğdu. Filmin büyük bir bölümü tiyatro sahnesine taşındı. Oyuncuların hareketleri ise dans ve müzikle birleştirildi. Tabiri caizse yeniden çevrime doymayan Tolstoy'un ölümsüz eseri Anne Karenina'nın kamera arkasını seyredelim.
Keira Knightley and acclaimed director Joe Wright reunite to bring one of the greatest love stories ever written to breathtaking new life on the big screen. Anna Karenina.
I remember the book as being just incredibly romantic.
Was it love? Always.
Love is a choice. You have choice in love.
I've got nothing left now except you.
Falling in love and staying with that one person forever.
Thinks I can give you up and go on living.
No.
It's both modern and classic at exactly the same time. That's why classics are classics, and the reason that stories like Anna Karenina last through the ages.
The thing about epic is it's made up of many things. It's the size of the story has to be epic to start with, and the casting and the characters have to be epic as well.
The story of Anna Karenina is a story of love in its many forms.
There is Levin's love for Kitty, the love between husband and wife. There's the love between Oblensky and Dolly, the love between siblings, mother love and baby love, adulterous love. Love is always a topic.
Would you die for love, Konstantin Dmitrievich?
I would.
The main narrative is about Anna and her husband Karenin.
Your husband is a saint, and we must all cherish him for Russia's sake.
And of the man she falls perhaps in love, perhaps in lust with.
They have a certain place in society, and it's a bolt of lightning from the outside world opens her eyes.
Can I be of service to you?
To another way of living, another way of loving, and another way of being.
Vronsky and Anna fall in love from their soul and their heart.
This is wrong.
Makes no difference.
She's unable to recognize the love that he does actually feel for her.
Vronsky has robbed me of my cloak. I will give him my coat.
No,
It's not enough. She doesn't think that it's there, and it is. It's the tragedy in that relationship, and she's totally unable to see that, and he's unable to vocalize it in the way that she...
I wanted to give the story of Anna Karenina a whole new life.
The rules of a period film have been completely broken. This is taking style to a whole new level.
The beauty of making a film is everything is possible.
There are a lot of locations in the script. So I go to locations in Russia and they say, yes, we have made 7 Anna Kareninas here. And you'd kind of go, oh, God.
He just began to think, God, I'm just following the path of so many other films before me, until came the day where everything changed.
Anna Karenina was written in 1873, and the Russian aristocracy at that time were constantly looking to France and trying to emulate that way of being. You did have these people that were pretending to be something that they weren't all the time.
They were living their lives as if upon a stage. I was wishing to myself that I could just set the film in one location. And this gave me the idea to set the majority of the film in a theatre. We built this enormous mid-19th century theatre set, and it became this magical space.
The first time I walked into the theatre was marvellous. I had only seen pictures.
What is the point in doing it safely? And what's the point of doing it if you're not totally challenged by it?
I think it gives Joe more freedom, actually. He doesn't have rules by which he has to stick to, so it means he can be much freer as a filmmaker.
If you're going behind.
Every day there's a new set, and the sets metamorphosize in front of our eyes. As you leave the set, there's a new team coming in. It's like a 24-hour factory, really.
They shut off elements of it, just with lighting or with walls, to create different spaces inside of it. And each one of them is completely unique.
The ones that are the big set pieces are the easier ones to do. I mean, the ball really lends itself to the theatre space. Then we have the opera in the theatre space.
each room, each world can stem off the same one sort of core, which is this theatre.
You know as soon as you enter a theatre that you are required to use your imagination, so it's always a space that totally changes. Just like that was an ice rink, and then I'm suddenly filled with chandeliers.
When we see the Oblonskys, who are in the prop room, that is their drawing room. When we see them in the dining room, which is a paint frame, it's their dining room. So once we're in and we know where we are absolutely believing that these things are happening within this space.
Who is he?
He's a rich, good-looking cavalry officer with nothing better to do than make love to pretty women.
The kinetic energy that progresses the drama from scene to scene is a real attempt to create this momentum.
Joe wanted to make Anna Karenina like a ballet.
What interests me is how rhythm can express emotion. The ball scene in particular, I loved shooting.
It was a completely extraordinary thing, telling the story through the moves and how much a part of the character the dance sequence was. And then again, you know, how Joe was shooting it.
It's rare that dancing is filmed well. You need sometimes to go further away or come closer in order to enhance the beauty of it. And so in that sense, I think Joe understands dance very, very well. And he dances along and the camera dances along. What was great was working with Dario because for certain scenes he already wrote the music beforehand. His music inspired a certain way of thinking. All these scenes have come to life thanks to the music.
There's one element of the film that is very different, which is the Levin story.
Levin turns his back on this superficial society and chooses to seek a more authentic mode of living. So his sequences are shot in location in Russia and have a more traditional cinematic reality.
A great director, in my opinion, is somebody who can convincingly create a world on screen that the audience will believe in.
The puppet theatre that I grew up in was a crazy, beautiful, handmade world, and that's what we tried to create with this film.
We are in a world that offers itself up as unreal, in fact as almost magical and fantastical.
We know that our imagination is going to be used, we know that reality is going to be suspended, but I think ultimately we're trying to hold a very beautiful mirror up to life.
In our very first meeting, Joe said we're going to mix 50s couture with 1870s silhouettes. A lot of 50s couture was looking back to a late 19th century style, and the two meshed together really well.
That's been very liberating style-wise for all of us. We're paying homage to 1873 and to 1950.
Jacqueline is the most astounding costume designer. She has an absolute understanding of style and period and fabric, but also an understanding of character that is really rare.
Anna! There's two dresses that have got really 50s bodices. The dress that she wears at the tea room and in the Grand Hotel, and the dress that she wears at the races. It's got an asymmetric fastening like this with buttons and a swoop of taffeta around the neck, and then the same 1870s skirt shape. And they differ from the 50s in the sense that they've got a long kind of tail which folds into the bustle so that it accentuates the 1870s shape. It's a real sliding scale, with Anna being the most 50s, and then it slides away to becoming more and more period, with the exception of Betsy, who is not at all period.
You didn't come to my dinner?
In talks with Jacqueline, the costume designer, and we decided that she could be a bit exotic. So I thought geisha was quite an interesting theme to go down.
Your husband is a saint, and we must all cherish him for Russia's sake.
The first discussions in wardrobe when you're putting any character together is the most rewarding.
Jude latched onto the idea that the simpler your costume and the less detail and the less there is on it signifies that you have greater power. He wanted to remove all of the details and have a completely plain tunic, and we played on that idea again with his dressing gown and nightshirt at home.
Jacqueline's fantastic because she already has her ideas of the character, but she also likes to know what you think.
In my opinion, Karenina is a fool and Anna is the best of us.
This little thing for me was something that was quite telling of my character, because there is a slightly spiky element to her. It represents that.
My dear, I'm a sales catalogue.
Costume design has been an eye-opening experience for me with Jacqueline. The way they approach costume, there was a huge amount of the character came through the different looks.
I'm Countess Vronskaya. I've been in St. Petersburg for the christening of a granddaughter.
My character is supposedly aging beauty. I had this idea that she's worried that her neck's looking old, and I wanted some sort of collar. And then Jacqueline, She gave me this fantastic creation.
Count Vronsky, yes?
We gathered together all the images of Russian uniforms that were correct for the date. Joe was very specific about whites. We had to find pure whites rather than creams.
Dance with me.
Having me in this black costume and Aaron in this white one, entwining hands and everything, it suddenly became this yin and yang thing, which is what makes it so interesting.
The more and more stylised it became, the more I thought that the 50s styling fit in. It's great for the film. I think it's another strand in the theatricality of it. We just set off in the boat that takes us through Anna Karenina and we get to the other side and you hope for the best.